Alright guys, what is up? This is Nelcomal here. I am responding to the video, let me put this down, the MrRepzion Drama by TakeShotAction. I wanted to respond to this video because this guy is a MrRepzion lover, and MrRepzion has gone through a lot of drama recently, mainly because of how hypocritical he is and how two-sided he is. And this guy here, Shot Action, instead of actually confronting Daniel and telling it how he is, he pretty much decides to make excuses for him. Be like person that, when a person is wrong, instead of actually helping them, they just want to make excuses. So I'm going to respond to his video. I'll be stopping and playing it in order to respond to some of the stuff that he says that I find either dumb or idiotic. So anyway, let's get started. Let me just put this over here. Here we go.
Hey everyone, this is TakeShotAction. Today we're going to be talking about this whole MrRepzion drama that has been going on lately, all this stuff that's being said, what's being talked about, and I feel the need to address this. Now, if you think that I'm going to be taking sides on this, or you think that I'm going to be going off of Daniel or something, you're wrong. That's not what I'm here to do today. Usually, when I read posts, I'll usually take the moral and ethical high ground on why I think that something is right or wrong. But I'm basing this purely off my emotions here. And in order for you to understand why I'm taking this approach to making this video, and why I feel the way I do, you need to understand specifically what I'm speaking of here. So when I started on YouTube, as many of you know, MrRepzion, Daniel, he gave me a shout out. And because of that, I was able to amass a following much faster. It was almost like, Daniel kind of pushed me up a hill and I continued to sprint up it. And not only that, but the people, you, my subscribers, who are probably watching this, you helped push me up there. You really did. So, you helped push me up along the way, and if it wasn't for Daniel doing that, being the first person to push me, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be where I am today. And when it comes down to it, he completely changed my fate and completely changed how I view the world and my opinion on life forever. There's nothing that's going to be able to take that back. Now, a lot of people are going around and they're saying that Daniel, MrRepzion, is like really bad or like Onision.
Okay, what they're saying is that when it refers to that they're like that he's like Onision, is that he's being a liar and a hypocrite. I mean, there's tons of videos where it says that he takes criticism and that he hates liars and that you should never hang out with liars and he's not a liar because that's a bad thing. Yet he censors every criticism that is given to him, rather it be towards his suicide notes. Instead of actually getting help, he uses suicide in order to gain attention and following, stuff like that. It's not the fact that he's like Onision in the sense of him being a scumbag. It's just that he's a liar and a hypocrite. And when he criticized Onision for being a liar and a hypocrite, yet he's the same way. So that's what they mean. You don't have to get all butthurt about it.
To anyone that's going to say that MrRepzion is like Onision, you're going to basically lose my respect. You're talking about a guy.
Why are they going to lose?
Who pushed his ex into a door frame, caused his ex to have a miscarriage, gets like girls who are underage over state line to marry them. You're talking about a really sick and fucked up, really messed up...
Again, dude, what they mean is that he's a hypocrite and a liar, just like he said Onision was. So don't go around losing respect for people just because they blatantly say the obvious. Your love for MrRepzion is blinding you to the truth, and you need to stop.
Individual, and you're trying to relate them to someone who's like in his mid-20s, trying to work out his way in life, trying to work out why he exists. There's one thing that you probably all know about me, right? and that's I'm very easily relatable to people. I am. I'm very easily relatable. Not only that, but I can really understand where people are coming from. When I hear Daniel, when I see his posts about suicide and depression, most of you don't know this, but you have to understand that I feel almost exactly the same way he does. Whether I want to admit that or not, I do. I understand a lot of what he says. And then most of my friends will sit there and they'll just talk badly about him, and it gets into my head a bit. It gets into my head a little bit because when you have, you know what it's like when all your friends are together, you're all standing around, you know, you're all, everyone's saying one thing about one friend, and you feel the need, like, you know, in order to keep the friendships with everyone, you know, you have to think badly about one person. And I've come to the conclusion lately that it doesn't need to be the case. He may not be easy to talk to for some people, and some people need to, I guess, understand, like I did, that that's because he's had a long and hard past.
Again with the excuses, dude. Seriously, stop with the fucking excuses.
And I too have had a long and hard past. For someone,
And so did I. And you don't see me going around posting suicide things for attention or saying how bad my life is, even though he has done a lot of stuff that most people don't do around his age. He has a lot of resources at his disposal, yet goes around whining like a little baby.
like, for someone that's MrRepzion's age, for someone that's my age, we've had to live through a lot of shit, and I can pick that up
And so have I lived a lot of shit, so have many others. Again, why keep making excuses for him?
instantly in him. The path I decided to go down from living through all this crap was different to the path he decided to go down. I think I took a better path than him, but he doesn't know any other way to go about the way he's living at the moment. And he's suffering. He has to.
He's suffering because he made his choice. He's suffering because he wants to suffer, not because he doesn't have any help or any resources at his disposal. Like my father always says, you have a choice. I have a choice. Everybody has a fucking choice. He has money, he has resources, he has people, but instead of doing that, like I keep saying throughout this video, he chooses to create drama. He chooses to use that to get fame. Instead of just saying, you know what, I have help. There's a lot of people who love and care for me. I need help. Let me start using what I have at my disposal to help myself. That's what he has to do. And you keep making these excuses for him won't, in fact, help him. It'll keep on sinking himself into the depression and realizing that it's acceptable to keep doing what he's doing because he's getting attention. Stop it, dude. I know that you have like some sort of man love for him, but stop this shit already.
Spend every moment knowing that he could wake up the next day wanting to die. What you need to understand is that with me, I can't go off at someone who is so like me in so many ways. Because
Yes, you can. You can go off of him when someone is similar to you or has gone through similar experiences because you know how damaging that can be. I've had a lot of people that I know that are like me, and I go off on them, and they're like, oh, but you understand. Yes, I understand, but I know how damaging it is. And if you don't take the appropriate steps, you are going to keep going down a wrong path. That's what you need to do.
it's almost like looking in a mirror and seeing what your life would be like if you changed a few circumstances around or weren't knowing how to deal with a lot of things. With pain, the more wounds you heal with pain comes wisdom. And Daniel hasn't been able to heal a lot of his pain.
He hasn't been able to heal his pain because he chooses not to, not because he can't. He can. Again, we have options. He has options. He has resources. Yet he doesn't want to help himself. Wake up, dude.
And because of that, he hasn't had the chance to become wise for his years. like someone like me has. I've let my pain heal a lot. Someone like Daniel hasn't had the chance to do that. And when I see someone like Daniel, I see someone who has a lot of pain that hasn't let it heal yet. And then that pain reflects back onto me because I understand. Being understanding is both a blessing and a curse. Being too wise for your own good can also be a curse. Because if you become wise when it comes to very complex things, you'll never be able to understand simplicity. Like, I can't really understand simplicity very much because I'm wise to the more complex of things. And I've healed a lot, and that's one of the things that Daniel hasn't been able to do because the past seems to haunt him.
Again, he hasn't healed because he chooses the past to haunt him. My past has come to haunt me. The past of other people have come back to haunt him. But I choose to not let it haunt me. I choose to every day keep going strong forward, looking for the possibilities. I've always said, you keep walking because you know that something positive will come into your life. Daniel chooses not to do this. He chooses, like I told you, to let his past haunt him instead of just keep going forward, instead of going for help, instead of appreciating what he has now. No, he just chooses to use his life for drama and attention. He is a problem of his problems, not everybody else. He.
So, before you go around saying that he's someone like Onision, who is
which
one of
is
the most...
which is somewhat true, not entirely, but in his lies and being a hypocrite. Sorry, in his lies and being a hypocrite. That's how he's like Onision. Not everything else. Onision is scum.
despicable human beings on this planet, think that he might be suffering in a pit of chaos that you can't even begin to imagine. So, instead of maybe trying to go off at him, how about
Dude, seriously, you gonna cry? Come on.
perhaps trying to help him? Because he's very young.
Okay. You're using Rihanna philosophy here. I mean, I'm seeing that you're Rihanna and Daniel is your Chris Brown. Okay, so let me get this straight. Instead of criticizing him, we should help him. Okay, I'm gonna pretty much call on your whole bullshit Rihanna philosophy here, and I'm sorry for anyone who's gonna get offended by this. First of all, how can you help someone that is not willing to help themselves? A lot of people have tried. I myself, before getting blocked by his content, by his channel, told him, dude, I know you had a hard past and all, but stop with this suicide stuff. I mean, you amounted to a lot of stuff that most people don't even have, and you're being somewhat ungrateful. And he's blocked me. A lot of people have tried to help him. He's blocked them. He's insulted them. So how can we help him when he can't even help himself? He needs to start helping himself instead of just going around making excuses, and you going around and going, oh, come on, people, please stop insulting him and help him. You're just making excuses. What you need to do is grow up and actually say it in front of him and say, look, dude, honestly, stop with this bullshit already. I know it's hard. Everybody has it hard. You're not the only one who has been molested. But, you need to get up, grow up, and seek help. You have resources and people at your disposal, yet you choose not to. Making excuses like you do and going around being like, oh, stop it, please, please, is only not going to help him, but it's actually going to make his condition even worse.
And he's in a lot of pain. And I understand he's done and he's said things, maybe put it aside. Just this once to help someone who is suffering in a world he doesn't know how to control.
Yes, he can control. This is a world you can control. You have control of your actions. You have a decision to make. The reason as to why he can't control it is because he took a decision not to control it. We all are controllers of our own destiny. And until he realizes that, he is not getting any better.
This is just how I feel. You're allowed to feel however you want about this. You're allowed to be mad at him. You're allowed to be pissed off at him. You're allowed to think whatever you want. Because sometimes I read stuff and I agree with people, but at the same time, you don't understand what I understand and what I see. And I think maybe after watching this you might. But I just needed to get that out, you know, that...
Alright, before finishing this video, I want to tell you something. You know, he's pretty much trying to make excuses for him instead of telling him to get help. A lot of people have had a shitty life, and they've taken control of it, and now they're great people. I'm gonna pretty much tell you a life story right here, but, you know, my dad went through a lot of shit growing up. You know, he had, like, very abusive parents. You know, they would go and physically discipline him by being very physically hitting towards him. You know what he did? He didn't let it sink in like MrRepzion did. He said, look, I'm gonna finish up school, I'm going to the army, and I'm gonna make my life for myself, and I'm gonna take control of my life. Daniel is not doing that. You know, I myself was physically and verbally abused for most of my life. You know, telling my stepfather telling me that I'm worthless, that I'm not going to amount to anything, and that I'm weird, and that who I am is not good, and that who I am is different, and that I'm not like everybody else, and that I'm an idiot. But I didn't let that sink into my life. I took the steps necessary to help myself and move on. And although I've had a lot of hardships in life, I don't let that consume me. Daniel is letting himself be consumed by his past. And you're not doing anything to help him either. You're just making excuses like, stop it, please, stop it, stop it. So, you know, enough is enough, dude. You know, seriously, enough.
He's really suffering. And he can deny it if he wants to, but I know better. So just maybe if you want to give him a chance, and give him a chance to learn how to heal his wounds.
Well, he's not doing that. He's not going around and learning how to help himself. You know, there's more than enough help right now for him to do it. He has the money and the resources, and he has a big internet to read about how to help himself, but yet he doesn't.
Yeah, everyone.
Alright, guys, this is the thing, though. I can understand that he's troubled. You know, I really can, you know, because being molested is not easy to handle. I've never been molested, but I can understand that that's not hard. But this is the thing here, people. If you don't take control of your life, if you don't realize that you have a problem and that it's consumed you, and you don't get up yourself and help yourself, you're not going to really go and improve in your life. You're just going to continue with this depression eating at you and eating your soul and eating yourself until one day you just destroy yourself or you become someone different than who you are. And people like TakeShotAction are not really helping him. They're just trying to like, oh no, don't worry, don't worry. You know, be who you are, be who you are. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, instead of going around and getting help, just be who you are. You know, and that's not helping. You know, we need to pretty much tell them, hey, you know, enough with the suicide stuff. You have a great life right now that you've amounted to. I mean, my dad also went through a lot of shit too when he went to the army, and he himself has taken control of it and risen up. I myself have gone through a lot of shit too, but I didn't let it consume me. I just found the help within myself, and I was able to prevail. Daniel needs to take control of his life and prevail. You know, this is Nelcoman signing off.